My channel Love to Learn. In this video, I want to share you my interview experience with Infosys. Okay, and the interview consists of 3 rounds, guys. One is technical round, and another one is managerial round, and another is HR round. In this video, I want to share you the technical round questions. Okay. First of all, I have introduced myself to the interviewer, and I don't want to discuss about like my company, my project and all with you, but I will explain you with my technical skills and my roles and responsibilities in my project. Okay. My technical skills mentioned in the resume are Java 8, Java 8 Futures, Spring, Spring Boot, Hibernate, JPA, and our DB in our project is Oracle, guys. And as we know, like we will write the queries using SQL, right? And JN5 with Mockito, and tool is the Eclipse, and version control tool is Git, and OpenShift is for checking the logs, and SonarQube is for monitoring the code quality. Okay. And another thing, guys, don't skip my video that your skill set not matched for the frameworks like Spring or Spring Boot, because majority of the questions asked in my Infosys interview are related to Java only. Okay. When interviewer okay with your Java skills, then he will go to the frameworks. Otherwise, he will not interview. Okay. And my roles and responsibilities in my project are requirement analysis, technical feasibility discussion with team, develop a REST API using Spring Boot, Hibernate, JPA and Oracle. Okay. If you observe in my technical skills, I also mentioned Spring, but I have only hands-on on Spring Boot, guys. Okay. I don't have hands-on on Spring. As it is a prerequisite for the Spring Boot, I have mentioned that. Okay. And also implemented Log4j and custom exception handler, and I have written JUnit test cases for unit testing with JUnit 5 and Mockito, and I have used SonarQube for bug and vulnerability fixes for maintaining code quality, and I have participated in daily scrum meets to discuss the different issues in the project. Okay, let's start with the interview questions, guys. It is my first question asked by interview. What is static? I said like static is a keyword, and we can declare a class as static only if it is a nested class. Means we can have a static class also, but there is a condition, it should be a nested class. And we can declare a static block, and we can declare a static method, and we can have a static variable also. Then he asked me a question, can we override a static method? I said no, because we cannot override static methods, because that methods overriding based on the dynamic binding at runtime, and the static methods are bonded using static binding at compile time. Okay, means we cannot in a single word, I can say like in a single line we cannot override static methods. Okay. And my next question is why string is immutable. Okay. And I said like string is immutable because string objects stored in string constant pool area, since they are stored in the string constant pool area, they are shared among multiple variables. So that is the reason string is immutable. Okay, guys. And interviewer shared me this code snippet in the chart and asked me like how many objects are created in this in this line. I said like here 2 objects are created, one is in string constant pool area and one is in the heap area, and a reference yes. Okay, that is my answer. And then he asked me differences between string buffer and string builder. The differences are string builder is synchronized and string builder is non-synchronized, and string buffer is synchronized, and string buffer is thread safe, guys, and string builder is not thread safe. String buffer is slower than the builder as it is thread safe and synchronized. Okay, and string builder is faster than the string buffer as it is the non-synchronized one. And my next question is how do you store passwords in your code? Means like in which variable type you will store the password in the code. The interviewer asked me. I said I will store password in the char array. And then she asked me why don't you store password in the string format. I said like normally the strings are stored in the string constant pools, right? And normally what happens means garbage collection will be done somewhat late compared to other objects in heap area. Means in the string constant pool garbage collection is somewhat slow. Then there is a chance like hacker can hack our passwords. So we want to store the passwords in char array, and after the use we want to refer that char array as null. Okay, we want to initialize that char array with a null. Okay, That is the reason I will be storing passwords in the char array, guys. Okay, guys, and my next question is, what is exception handling? First I said what is mean by exception. Exception means abnormal termination of the program. For handling that abnormal termination, Java introduced Java exception handling. Okay, and she asked me like, how do you handle the exception? I said like, suppose there is some lines of code in a method, and I think like I guess like in that some lines of code there is a chance of getting exception. Then I will put some extra lines of code in try block. Okay, then I will handle the exception the catch block. That is my answer. Okay, guys. And throw versus throws. Throw is used to throw exception explicitly. Throws is used to declare the exception, and in only one exception can be thrown using the throw, but we can declare multiple exception using the throws. That is the answer I have said, and this is the only question I not answered in my interview, guys. Observe this clearly. What they have done means this is like exception handling with the method overriding in the Java. They asking me this question: if sober class method don't declare an exception, can we declare the exception in subclass overridden method? But I said we can declare the exception in subclass overridden method. Then she asked me, can we declare the both checked or unchecked exceptions? So I don't have the answer. The answer is like, if the sober class method don't declare an exception, subclass method overridden method cannot declare the checked exception, but it can declare the unchecked exception. Means suppose we are overriding a method and the method in the sober class not declared with the exception. In subclass we can declare the exception, but it should be unchecked exception, not the checked exception. Okay, remember it, guys. It's an important question. I even encountered in some other multiple interviews after the Infosys one. And then they asked me some questions in the collections. They sent me this code snippet in the chat, and they asked me, well, what is the expected output when we print this? Normally, if you observe, hash map don't follow the order, guys. But here what happens means, if you observe here, we have entered like key comma value as null, the key as null here, and we are given some demo as value. When we are inserting a key as null, what will be happen means it will be definitely storing in at the index 0. Okay, remember this point. When we entered any key which is null, the particular key value pair will be stored at the index 0. And as you observe here, they have re-entered the keys map.put 1 comma Java and map.put 1 comma Spring Boot. Then what will be happen? Java will be replaced with the Spring Boot. So the order of the output will be null comma demo and 1 comma Spring Boot. So the size of the map is 2, guys, and one is one key value pair is null comma demo, another key value pair is 1 comma Spring Boot. Okay. Remember this, this is an important one. I even encountered it in some other interviews also. And they asked me the differences between list versus set. List follows the order sequence, but set don't follow the order sequence as its implementation is map. Okay, and list allow the duplicate element, guys, but set don't allow the duplicate elements. Okay, and my next question is related to the JUnit 1. As I mentioned, JUnit 5 with Mockito, there are some questions related to the JUnits. Okay, what is this at the rate before each? It is used to say that this annotated method should be executed before every at the rate test method. Means whenever we execute a JUnit test class, what will be happen? We have a before each method and other test methods, right? Whenever a test method is executed, this before each method will be called. Okay, that is the purpose of this at the rate before each. And she asked me like, there are many JUnit frameworks, right? There are any unit testing related frameworks. Then why are you only using this Mockito? If you observe, guys, some JUnit related some unit testing related frameworks, they will be interacting with the database. But if it's come to Mockito, we can easily mock like suppose let's assume like I have DAO, okay, DAO and repository and all. I want to write some test cases for that. What I can do means I can mock the repository object. and I can try the test cases. But if it's come to some like some other testing framework, what will be happen? The code will be interacted with the DB. Then there will be some performance issues. Suppose you have in my project, if I can say I have in our project, in our module, we have more than 1000 test cases, guys. If you are running the 1000 test cases at a time, if they are interacting with DB, they will take a lot of time. But if it's come to Mockito, as they don't interact with the DB, they will give some good performance compared to that. The time of running the test cases is better here, okay? And here also we can easily mock the objects, guys. And we can say like it is an open source testing framework and it enables writing test cases using the mocking approach. And here also we have some application support and exception support, means it will support the exceptions also. Okay, that is the reason like I was using the Mockito. And my next question is why we use Spring Boot. As I mentioned Spring Boot as my technical skills and my hands-on skill, they asked me a question like we have Spring MVC and all, why you guys are using Spring Boot. Okay, I said like our application is a microservice related application. For developing microservices, Spring Boot is the best framework, Java based framework, and we call it as ready to use framework, means it is easily configurable and all. Okay, and then she asked like can you say some benefits compared to the Spring in the Spring Boot like that? And then I said like it provides some embedded Tomcat embedded container support. Okay, it provides embedded container support and it provides provision to the run the jars independently using the command jar. Okay, and you can also have the option to exclude dependency to avoid potential jar conflicts when deploying in an external container. And we can also have like some random port generation for integration test. Okay, and we also have the option to specify active profile when deploying, guys. Okay, these are the main advantages for Spring or Spring Boot. Sorry, Spring Boot over Spring. And you can have some you can easily integrate the H2 database here in Spring Boot. Okay, that are the main advantages, and that is the reason we are using Spring Boot over Spring. Okay, and then she asked me what is the Spring Web dependency in Spring Boot. Okay, and normal we can say like the Spring Web dependency is starter of Spring Web, which uses Spring MVC, REST and Tomcat as default embedded server, and it pulls in all dependencies related to web development. That is my answer, guys. And then she asked you this question: do you added any dependencies to write JUnit with Mockito test cases? Okay, normally this question is to they will ask because they want to test whether you are a fake guy or experienced guy in Spring Boot. Because normally what people do, if they want to migrate, they will just train from some other external institute, or they will practice some POCs and come to the interviews. Okay, if you say yes, I have added dependencies, then definitely you are a fake guy, because I will explain you guys the reason behind that. Okay, if you observe, it is a Spring Initializer project. Okay, and wait, I will show you from the initial, then you can easily get it. Never say like you have added dependencies for the JUnit and Mockito and all. Okay, if you observe, I just came here and not added any dependency. Okay, let's click on this explore, guys. If you observe here, you have something known as Spring Boot starter test. Okay, what happens means this is automatically added when you have created this application. This Spring Boot starter test are automatically added, but Spring Boot only. Then what is happening means in this Spring Boot test we have ham crashed, JUnit and Mockito dependencies internally. Means this Spring Boot starter test only giving the dependencies. Then why we will add this some external dependencies for using Mockito? Definitely they can easily identify like you are not having experience in the Spring Boot. Okay, and let me continue, guys. Okay, and they asked me the Spring MVC flow. Okay, they not asked me more questions on Spring. As I said, I have all experience in the Spring Boot. Then I started explaining. Normally what will be happening is client will send the request to dispatcher servlet, and from the dispatcher servlet the request will be goes to URL handler mapping, and it will send some controller name to the dispatcher servlet. Then dispatcher servlet will again send the particular request to the particular controller which set by the URL handler mapping, and after the business logic performance in the controller service and all, it will send some model view, okay, and to the dispatcher servlet, and again the dispatcher servlet go to the view resolver, and the view resolver gives some view name, and after the finalizing the view, and it will send the view to the client, and like the client can see the output, right? That is the Spring MVC flow, guys. Okay, they not ask me about this flow in detail. They just ask me some flow, like some basic flow. If you are having the Spring MVC, definitely you want to go deeper, like from the starting application and all. Okay, and they ask me the differences between the REST and SOAP. Which come to REST, it is architecture, and if it is a SOAP, it is a protocol, guys. Okay, and REST support multi-format data transformation like XML, JSON and all. But if it's come to SOAP, it will support only XML for the transforming the data between client and server. And here in the REST, read request can be catched, but in SOAP we cannot catch the read request. Okay. And they asked me like some tool, what are the tools you use for checking logs. Okay. And normally I have used the tool used in my project is OpenShift. I have used the OpenShift for checking my project logs. Okay. In our project we are using the OpenShift, and there are many different tools for checking the logs and all, and it's based on your project, guys. Okay. It's not like it is not mandated to use only OpenShift and all. In my some old project we are also using Texia and all. Okay. And as I mentioned Sonar Cube, they asked me what is this Sonar Cube and all. I said it is a DevOps tool, and it is for, I can say like it is a code quality assurance tool. Okay, it collects and analyzes code and performs code quality for the project. Code quality is very important in the project, guys. That is the reason we are using this Sonar Cube. Okay, and I explained them in detail about the vulnerabilities, bugs and fixes. Now I will show you the image, then I will explain you that then you can clearly understand what it is. If it's come to these vulnerabilities, you can see like there are 11 vulnerabilities. These are some security concern about the code. Like if you are not, like if you are storing the passwords in string or something, if you are not using the code well, like it's assumed like there may be a chance of attackers, like the hackers will hack the code. The vulnerabilities will show that. Okay, bugs in the sense if there is some code in the issues in the code, like I will show you an example, guys, about the bug. Okay, if you observe, guys, here I have a string, I have integer. I am comparing the string with integer. We know it is not correct, but it is not showing anything, right? See here, it is not showing any error, right? It is like it is a bug like that. It will show such kind of bugs, guys. No, we can compare, but it's not a proper way, right? It is not a correct practice to compare them like that. Okay, it is a kind of bug. I am not saying it is a bug clearly, just it is a kind of bug and all. If it's come to code smells in the sense the duplicate code, dead code, these are all related to the code smells. Okay, and it will show like number of unit test cases we are written in our project, and it is the code coverage, how much code coverage we have in the project, means how many test cases we are written to cover whole our code. Like suppose 80% of code only covered, then it will show here 80 like that. Okay, and that is up to my interview, guys. Okay, if you have any queries, please comment it in comment section, and all the best for your interview, guys.